Amnesty is another term in the Nigerian political lexicon that raises a lot of heated discussions anytime it comes up. Amnesty is defined as an official pardon granted people who have committed a political offense, but it takes on a different context when applied in Nigeria. Amnesty has become to governments another approach to resolving widespread attacks on the nation state by non-state actors who usually target helpless citizens in order to hold the government to ransom. Governments usually consider the amnesty option to prevent future mass atrocities. Their confidence in its efficacy is grounded in the amnesty program set up in 2009 for militants of the Niger Delta who had risen against the state to protest over growing poverty, unemployment, and environmental degradation in their region. The militants had targeted oil installations and taken to kidnapping expatriates working on these installations. The insurrection cost the country dear in terms of oil revenue, and there seemed to be no end in sight until the administration of Yar'Adua proclaimed a 60-day blanket amnesty for all Niger Delta militants. Those who surrendered their arms were unquestionably granted freedom from persecution. To some extent, this amnesty program was regarded as a massive achievement for the Yar'Adua administration. Over 20,000 militants were disarmed and relative peace was restored. However, the amnesty was also criticized because militants were exempted from prosecution regarding all their crimes and without any preconditions. They were not even required to give full disclosure of what they did. It has formed the precedent for any calls for amnesty from any quarter. Non-state actors who are called to lay down their arms consider exemption from prosecution a precondition for any talks. When the Boko Haram insurgency reached its peak in 2013, the issues of granting the terrorist amnesty came to the front burner. It was first suggested by the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar II. At the 2013 annual meeting of the Jamaatul Nasir Islam, an umbrella body for the Muslim community in Nigeria, he advised President Goodluck Jonathan to declare amnesty to all combatants without thinking twice. Under the pressure of the Northern Elders Forum, President Jonathan in April 2013 set up a committee to explore the feasibility of granting amnesty to Boko Haram militants. But the Islamist group rejected the offer. Again, the issue of amnesty is being touted as a solution to banditry and kidnapping, as it has steadily crept across the country. Nigeria is in a period where insecurity keeps increasing, no matter what security agencies do about it. And the victims are ordinary Nigerians, kidnapped at random, or locals whose communities are sacked or held to ransom by bandits who insist they must pay a token to avoid being attacked. Worst is farmers who in certain communities are forced to pay a ransom before they can harvest their crops. This is threatening the country's efforts to attain food sufficiency, as many farmers are scared to work on their farms. Governors believe the way forward may be to resort to an amnesty program of some sorts, tailored after the presidential amnesty program set up for militants. The Zamfara state governor has set up his own dialogue, insisting that the way to end banditry is through peace talks. But can an amnesty program be the solution to violence by non-state actors against poor citizens? How will victims who survived feel about their tormentors being pampered by government? Can amnesty for criminals bring a lasting peace without addressing the root causes that breed bandits in the first place? What about arguments that most of the bandits who perpetrate violence on communities are actually foreigners who wandered across the borders with cattle and have now found kidnapping and laying siege on communities more profitable than herding? Can the state afford to grant amnesty to non-citizens? This is what we'll take a look at this week on Politics on Sunday. I am Femi Akonde. This is not the first time the amnesty option is being considered by state governments. In 2016, the Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari had introduced the peace agreement, going as far as seeking out bandits in their camps, and it was successful because of the positive impact it made. But the armed bandits later reneged on the agreement, and there was a resurgence of banditry and kidnapping in the state despite the peace accord. 2 peace deals were separately signed between the Katsina State government and the bandits. The first was on January the 15th, 2017, which lasted for 2 years, while the second took place between the 4th and the 9th of September 2019. The agreement saw a significant reduction in attacks on the state's rural communities. As a result of the peace agreement, the government banned vigilante groups and identified cattle routes and facilitated free movement of bandits to convey their livestock in the markets. Not surprising, Governor Masari is not disposed to negotiations or amnesty for bandits. He believes it is the security agents that can negotiate with the bandits.
Bandits, they are criminals of the highest order. Peace and the understanding we had with them by 2019. And by 2020, they have reneged. So we urge you, those of them that have been declared wanted in Katsina, please, we want you to apprehend them and hand them over to us. We cannot allow a situation where somebody masterminded killing of over 68 people, and that person should go free. Under whatever guys, we will not accept it.
The Kaduna State Governor had also tried his hand at negotiating with bandits. In 2016, Governor Nasir El-Rufai had come to understand through a committee he set up, headed by General Martin Luther Agwai, retired, that the sacking of communities in southern Kaduna was the handiwork of Fulani headers from Niger, Cameroon, Chad, Mali, and Senegal. So a lot of what was happening in southern Kaduna was actually from outside Nigeria. The governor admitted to tracing some of the Fulanis to Cameroon and Niger Republic, where ransom was paid for the loss of cattle, while obtaining forgiveness for the loss of lives suffered. But again, that did not yield a permanent solution. Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State, on the other hand, is one of those who believes that peace talks with the bandits can still yield positive results. The governor recently received at the government house Gusau a notorious bandit leader, Awalu Daudawa, alongside his group, who also surrendered 20 AK-47 rifles, 2 general-purpose machine guns, live ammunition, and other dangerous weapons. This repentant gang leader, Awalu Daudawa, was one of the notorious kidnap kingpins operating in Katsina, Zamfara, and Sokoto states. He masterminded the abduction of 26 Islamic schoolgirls in Faskari, Katsina State in December last year. He finds support with the renowned Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, who had embarked on a mission to get bandits to lay down their arms and embrace peace.
These bandits are actually an insurgency. Sometimes it's not even criminal. It may have started as criminal, but it turned into an insurgency. An insurgency, you cannot quell it with a gun. You have to negotiate, you have to dialogue. Why are they going into insurgency? Is because they are marginalized. They don't have any amenities, they don't have anything, and it turned into an ethnic conflict, which we don't want it to escalate and continue. So we are calling on everybody to chip in to see how we can bring the people all together.
I spoke at length with Sheikh Ahmed Gumi on his mission and what makes him so confident that bandits can be won around by appealing to their good conscience, and why he feels that the federal government should grant the bandits amnesty. Sheikh, in a rare show of patriotism, you have met the bandits and won their trust. But from your interaction with them, Would you say that they are genuinely willing to embrace peace? And what are the terms and conditions?
I was surprised to find that one, these hardmen, one, they feel they are the victims of everything and that they are pushed by circumstances beyond their power to engage in this kind of crimes for survival, I'm sorry to say. Killing somebody to survive. So what led to that is perpetual marginalization, perpetual neglect by governments immemorial. You cannot remember when they had this effective, not something written on paper, effective intervention to look at their welfare, their education. So when the nation is plunged into corruption, the nation is plunged into all kind of vices, they too took their own, that kind of national cake of crimes. So they go into banditry, they go into kidnapping, stealing, and all those of things, trying to survive, because the nation is so corrupt that if you don't involve in corruption, you cannot survive. This is what I found, honestly speaking. It's a case which is not beyond redemption, it's not beyond correction. It only needs some listening ears. Then we take the appropriate steps to see that this menace is curbed. And with the first visit, I could see an instant relief, instant. Because when I visited them, about 50 bandits immediately want to show up themselves, saying that we repent, we want to lay down our arms immediately. But then, since it's the beginning, we don't have any experience, we said no, they should not be exposed to the press. And subsequent visit affirmed and confirmed to me, one after the other. Our main aim is that we should go into the rural areas and the nomadic ruga areas to teach them, admonish them, show them that, look, banditry, kidnapping, stealing, and all these kind of vices is not a way out for a problem. Give them books, make them feel they belong to a society, make them feel they are human too. This is our mission. But then, as we go further and further, we found that even those ones that are militant and the true, what we call it, kidnappers, they are no more different from the ones that are in the other ruga areas. And that's why we use the Fulani leadership and organizations to get through even to the bandits, to listen to them, because I always want to listen to the other side and see and compare notes and see how we can do. So to our surprise, these people we all see as demons. These people we all see, we know that they commit heinous crimes and are very dreadful. Are just young, small boys that if managed very well, we can immediately efface all the problems they have. And one thing too, for moral justification, we have to give them out of the national cake, which they never tested anything of it. So if we do that, I think the nation will have a peaceful Nigeria with regards to herdsmen, except about the crimes, and that's another subject altogether.
In October last year, we saw a huge protest against police brutality. It was tagged EndSARS. It forced the federal government to disband the police unit. Now we hear that these bandits also blame security operatives for extrajudicial killings and other atrocities. Will you blame political leaders in the north for refusing to listen to these people and allowing the situation to escalate?
I blame everybody, from president to you, the man speaking. I blame everybody. It's a culmination of small issues here and there that produce this monster. Everybody's at fault. I don't want any Nigerian to exonerate himself. You, the media, you played your own part by what do you call it, polarizing the nation. So now when I read papers from the south and the north, I see this polarity. Why? Fact is fact. 1 + 1 is equal to 2. It can never be 3 or half. So you see, even journalists helped in what do you call it, steering this ethnic chauvinism we see all over the country. The government too. The government, there's a lot the government can do, which has neglected these people all along, and they were using a hammer to kill a fly, to swat a fly with a hammer. And that, as you see, with the EndSARS, I think to the western or to the southern Nigerians, EndSARS is enough a reason for you to understand why these headsmen took weapons. They were brutalized by the military, not even just by the police. They were brutalized, and for a long time, not only in this regime. And we should not be surprised. So what we want, we don't want to go deep into the problem. Everybody knows the problem now. There is militancy, there is banditry, there is crime committed, we know. We are looking for solutions. And looking for the solutions took us into them. And first, let's see, on what terms will they agree that they lay down their weapons and become good citizens? And we had their reasons, which the press is also aware of.
Sheikh Gumi, do you think some elements of Boko Haram have infiltrated the camp of the bandits and joined them in carrying out these violent crimes?
When I entered, this is what I was most dreadful of. I was most dreadful of them being radicalized in an ideological fashion. So immediately when he finished spitting out all his rancor and the problems, and he didn't show anything to incline that they are fighting an ideological war, I say thank Allah. This case is like a closed case. Because if you are fighting in ideology, then the battlefield becomes theological. And theology, anybody can interpret any book, any divine book, anyhow he wants. That's why we have many denominations among all the sects. We have the sects and denominations in every religion. It's because interpretation. So when you have militants that have an ideological, religious inclination, they are the most difficult to deal with, because whatever verse or whatever reason you bring to them, they have their own interpretation. So this is the kind of thing we are afraid. That's why we are calling for the government, please take proactive measures, and immediately. We don't want this lack-aside, sluggish, reaction. This is very fast. We have to very quickly, fast, try to solve this problem so that these people, this religious terrorists will not go and influence them. And we could see when these Kankara boys were kidnapped, there is almost I don't want to mention their names, the terrorists want to take over the case and hijack the case. So we should be very careful when at a material time where the government has to come with all force, and Nigerians now, they should put aside politics. We are not politicians. We have nothing to do with politics. We are not representing anybody. We are representing the interests of Nigeria, for the interest of peace to reign. So we should put aside all political differences, religious, sectarial differences. We first have to live and survive as humans before you start thinking about which religion you belong to. And this is a question of survival of a nation. So we want everybody to put his hand on deck so that we can solve this problem.
Now, there's a question bothering the minds of Nigerians, and I'm going to ask you, these people you interacted with in the forest and bushes, are they really Nigerians, or are there foreigners among them?
Yes, they are Nigerians. Their parents are known. Their parents are known. They are Nigerians. But you cannot rule out with 1 or 2 elements from somewhere to come. I think that period when people are saying they're aliens, is because nobody has gone in to see them. So the best way is an escape, what do you call it, explanation, escape explanation.
What lasting solution can be preferred to ensure that this country never experiences this kind of violence again?
What I expect the leaders in the southwest, the big leaders, I expect them to come out and calm the situation as we are doing, get into the crux of the matter and see that people are pacified. Because any ethnic tension, religious crisis, they are like petrol and fire. They can just explode and uncontrollable. So I expect the leaders there, the intellectuals there, to pacify the situation. It's not as bad as it is presented. In the southeast also, I also expect the leaders to come out and suppress those dissident voices. I call it dissident voices. We have them in the north, we have them in the south, and we have them in the east. I always equate what the IPOB or the Oduduwa Republic proponents are doing. I equate it exactly with the Boko Haram. Some people will say, okay, these people are not militant. Yes, everybody has his own style of expressing himself. Those are militant for reasons because they have objection from the northern society. The northern society has rejected Boko Haram, so they are using force. If Oduduwa has rejection from the southwest society, you see how they will behave. And IPOB should be rejected by the southeast society, then we can have a united Nigeria. Yet, said this, I think the government can also call for a restructuring of the country. Restructuring does not mean breaking. Yes, we restructure the country whereby it will be palatable. Well, honestly speaking, I will tell you, honestly speaking, when I came from Kaduna, I came to Gusau, I went to Gumi, when I see the vast land, and when I went to the governor in Zamfara, he was showing me mines of copper, mines of gold, mines of iron ore. I said, these people agitating for Nigeria to break, they don't know what they're saying. Because you see the north is poor by its, what do you call it, it's poor by its people, not by the land. The land is extremely rich, arable, agricultural land, vast land. So I just imagine the people in the southern state, actually, I wonder whether they have intellectuals, you know. Yes, I like goodness for all Nigerians because we have come all the way a long time. Then I don't see any reason for us to divide since there is intermarriages, since there is, and the world, I am so open, the world is even too small for us in Nigeria. West Africa should be thinking of coalescing and merging. Look at United States of America, the more people you have, the more power you have, the economic and political power. Look at China, how it's almost a continent. Russia is almost a continent. India is big. So the bigger we are, the better for us.
Sheikh, are you concerned that the government is refusing to admit the worsening state of insecurity and insisting that the country is safer than it used to be?
Okay, what I can say, what I understand Nigeria now, is that the problems we have are artificial problems. They are man-made problems. Our economic problem is man-made. The insecurity is man-made. So what we only need is that leaders should come together and unite, and everybody should forget about their parochial differences. Let's come together as a nation. We can build a very strong, viable nation and leave these problems we create for ourselves, obstacles that against progress. So I think politics should be set aside. I'm calling for Nigerians. The government should set aside its policies that are peculiar to its own political agenda. Let's come together and build a strong nation. And with the will, we can do it in a very short time, more than people would think. Our problems are big, but they are small. Why they are small? Because they are man-made. So once the mind is changed, you will see that they will all disappear. So I'm very optimistic. Nigeria is coming back. It's bouncing back to greater heights than what it is.
No doubt the issues of banditry and resolving it through amnesty is complicated, and it raises more questions than answers. One of such questions is, how do you distinguish among the bandits who are Nigerians who can enjoy amnesty granted by the states? Or will it be a blanket pardon for all, irrespective of what country you come from? Secondly, from what proceeds are funds from the amnesty going to be sourced from? In the case of the Niger Delta militants, it was acknowledged that since oil was extracted from their homelands, funds could be derived from oil proceeds to run the presidential amnesty program. But what many have argued is that this cannot apply to the bandits, unless it comes from security votes enjoyed by state governors. But most importantly, would it be fair to compensate criminals for making the lives of innocent citizens a living hell? No doubt government at all levels must consider all these issues and come up with the best way to bring to an end armed banditry and kidnapping across the nation. Well, folks, that's all for this week. Join me again next week when we consider another issue affecting our national politics. I am Femi Akonde.